And welcome back to the Get Lit podcast brought to you by Southern Lighting Solutions. My name is McHugh David. I am co founder of Southern Lighting Solutions, and I am here with my fellow co founder. Going to let him take a minute to introduce himself real quick.
My name is Tarek, and we're gonna keep it at that without the super long last name. I'm more casual today, a bit more scruffy looking. It's been a long week.
It has been a long week, a lot of travel for you already this week. But today we are going to talk about something that maybe we should have covered earlier from a design aspect. But it's the importance of lighting and the sort of the importance of the continuity of lighting and how contiguous it is inside your home. Especially, it doesn't all have to be the same, but it really needs to match the aesthetic you're after. We've seen a lot of interesting things since we've opened up, especially in residential spaces, since we've opened our lighting company here in Louisiana. So, first and foremost, I want to talk about, we can't name it yet. We're in the midst of working on it, but want to talk about an interesting project that we're working on, large scale residential home, multi-million dollar home. And when you walk in and it just no thought was put into the lighting. They wanted basic sort of in the ceiling lighting, and they wanted a couple of accent pieces that weren't exactly done correctly. So again, we're not going to talk about the specifics of this project yet. We will name it later. But one of the interesting things that you noticed, you did a site visit yesterday, is that all of the lighting within the house that is there, not as an accent piece, but as providing general light, was not very well planned.
No, I mean, so it was well planned and thought out with what they wanted. It was not executed at all properly with the kind of fixture that was used. And it's one of those things where it's, like I said, multi-million dollar house, or it could just be a regular $200,000 house. It doesn't really matter, but um, the lowest quality type of fixture has been used. Now, it could be a very good variation of that, but it doesn't serve the purpose that's required for this. Um, in this case, they used a wafer light where they should be using a really nice architectural light, and I'm not sure if it was because of budgetary constraints or whatnot, but um, using the right color, the right lens type, the right optic type to get that proper lighting to interact with the wall, in this case the nice wood flooring, the granite and marble countertops. All of that comes together when it's designed and lit properly. But in this case, that direct lighting was just off the shelf. We're going to put this in and we're done with it. In other aspects of the house, there was some beautiful lighting done. You give credit where credit's due, but in the more direct areas, they just took the easiest way out, and um, you can't throw blame anywhere, but because it's not our question to ask. Well, who chose this, so to speak? Who made that? Who made that call? That just leads to nothing but conflict.
Right.
So inherently, we kept it between us and the other, the contractor and other people on site, but obviously not with the homeowner.
Sure. And it's there's a lot of things that you just said to unpackage, but one of the first things is we're a solutions provider. We're not here to try to get anybody in trouble. We just or you just walked into a space and said, "Oh, this is a multi-million dollar house, and the lighting should not look like this."
Yeah, I mean, um, again, I come from a background abroad with large hotels and large villas and palaces and whatnot. There, you would never see that done uh, over there. You would never see that done in these kind of houses. Even mid-level houses would not typically do a fixture like that. Now, the cove lighting, all of that was immaculately done. It really was. It's not common that we walk into places where we see they've used profiles, hidden profiles, which keeps the light, completely uniform. And that was clear they had done that, which is they didn't cut any corners doing that. But like I said, that general lighting, it was just a shame to see it and disappointing to see it.
Sure. Real quick before I go to my next point, those profiles are. If you watched our strip episode in the past, we have a wide variety of profiles. Typically indoor, we use pre-cut aluminum with lenses on top to help make the diffuse the light, make it more uniform.
Sure.
The interesting thing about this is, you continue to have this sort of diametrically opposed statements about the lighting that was done in the house, whereas you have these beautiful things done under, island in the kitchen, under the bathtub, under the sink in the bathroom, and accenting on the stairs and stuff like that, and then you just see these, wafer lights in the ceiling, and you call it a shame.
Yeah.
Other people see that when they walk into your house, and you have these very they clash.
Sure.
It's a clash, is almost what it is.
You don't get to see the beauty of all the granite, the marble, the tiles, the wood flooring, art that you may have. You don't get to see any of that when you have the wrong kind of lighting. And that's the point.
Right. And through your light design experience, that's part of what you do, is to
Sure.
make sure. And so is to make sure that you don't have these diametrically opposed, regular lights that are probably shouldn't be there, and these wonderful accents. You want them to mesh. So when you're talking about it from that point of view, one of the things that you do as a designer is bring all that into account.
Sure.
What kind of floor it is, what's the color? What is the color on the walls? What kind of walls is it? What kind of paint? Is it a flat paint? Is it a high sheen or high gloss paint?
Sure.
Which one? What color is the ceiling?
Sure.
What color is the granite?
Yeah.
What kind of granite is it?
All of that goes into effect. I mean, so for a project like this, obviously, ideally, they would have the interior designer or the architect would have used a lighting designer for that. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. We'll never know, at this point. But it behooves, if you're building a house, even if it's a $200,000-$300,000 house, let alone a multi-million-dollar mansion, get some advice. Even if you don't want to, employ a lighting designer to go through it, because it can get expensive, especially where residential is concerned. Advisory, taking an hour or two to sit down and a small advisory fee just to go through what's being done. Does this make sense? Yes or no? Somebody, a good lighting designer is going to be able to tell you yes or no, and here's why, and give you a completely objective opinion. As far as, I mean, it might be subjective where you're sitting, but from our point of view, it's completely objective.
Right. It's math.
It's math, exactly.
It's it's your RGB values, and that would be red, green, blue, of everything that's in the room.
Yep.
Versus the mathematical formula of the color of the light, the lumens, and all the other statistics of the lighting of the light themselves.
It's a 35,000 foot view, because obviously you haven't put all of that into design. You haven't done design, but you're seeing what they're using, and the question is, okay, well, why have you used this fixture as opposed to something else? Why have you selected a flat wafer versus a baffled wafer? Why have you used 3,000 Kelvin one area, 27, or just 4,000 everywhere? What was the purpose? Who made that conscious choice to do that? Because most homeowners are not going to know that. They're going to want a nice chandelier. They're going to, you're going to want to find out, well, do you have lamps around? What do you have going on inside there? Because each room, each area, as much as you want to maintain uniformity between the lighting, each area is going to have a slightly different color, where bedrooms are concerned versus the dining versus the kitchen but it all flows. It's got to flow seamlessly. And if you think about it, if you've ever been to, the hotels in Disney, the nice ones, or you've been to, 4 or 5-star hotels, whether it's here or abroad, you'll notice those hotel rooms are so well done because they evoke a feeling when you go and you go into the hotel and you're just like, okay, it's time to relax. You go down to the lobby, you go to the buffet area, it evokes a feeling because it's very, very well designed. They follow very specific criteria to evoke a certain feeling in the client, the patron that's staying there or that's visiting.
Right.
So
And that's the purpose of light design, even as you said, even if it's just an advisory role, even if you're not paying the full fee or you just want to sit down with somebody and talk about it, such as yourself, you can take those parameters of the space you're trying to use, and we can give you some suggestions on what to use. The other thing that we can do is placement of lights. You're always trying to reduce fixture counts in places. And sometimes with a new build, you don't necessarily do that unless, you pull up a set of blueprints and you're like, this is not enough or this is too much,
yeah,
one or the other. But the whole purpose is, as you said, to evoke a feeling. And especially if you're building a house, that's your baby.
yeah,
And, do you want to spend it might be a couple extra $100, it might be a couple thousand, but to make sure that the look and feel you have on the inside is correct. Because it's not always going to be light outside. You're not always going to get natural light in the house.
Sure.
Sometimes you need to recreate that on the inside. The other thing I want to let people know, when you're talking about 2700 Kelvin, 3000 Kelvin,
it's the color temperature. Yeah,
yeah, it's the color of the light. I know a lot of people don't know that. I want to take a step back too and let people know that when you read the side of a box, sometime for a bulb or a light, sometimes they don't tell you what that color temperature is. They say things like warm amber and daylight. Be
Sure.
looking for that 2700 to 5 or 6,000 number. I've started seeing a lot of 6,000 at
Yeah.
retail locations, which is very fascinating. That's very, very, very bright white, guys. Actually, that's getting towards like blue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
about 500 is blue. Yeah,
Yeah.
almost.
So it's like 5,000 is supposed to be about your daylight.
Yeah.
And then 4,000 is your mix between that
I mean,
warm amber.
hospitals typically are in the 6,500 range.
Right. Because, especially on a surgery table,
Yep.
it's got to be bright.
Yep.
And got to be clear.
Yep.
So, and it's interesting, too, because a lot of people are like, well, I'm attached to this color or I'm attached to this color temperature. They're like, I want daylight in my house. Or I want, we see a lot of older customers who prefer that amber
Sure.
color. From your perspective, one of the things you brought up about this particular project is the walls in the house. A lot of big windows.
Yeah.
A lot of big windows in the house.
Oh, yeah.
So the walls were meant to sort of absorb that sunlight and make it very bright. So it's a very, very, very almost stark white paint on the walls.
It's a beautiful house. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the first things you said to me as you and I were texting back and forth because you were on site was they need a warmer light temperature in here.
Yeah.
Because it's a little too much. It's
Yeah.
probably a little too much. Kind of like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a proponent of in dining areas 4,000 and whatnot. That's my own personal, but based on the experience, what we've seen, I almost would have said go for a 3. Would have been a better feel throughout the house.
Right, and that's a general amber hue. You know,
it's a warmer hue. Amber's going to be a bit lower than that, but it's a general warmer hue. But again, playing off all the colors that you had going on there, and that's what you have to take into account, the colors that you have.
Sure, and I mean, if we're doing a full design, we even take artwork on the.
Oh yeah, everything goes in the artwork, the color of the floors, tiles,
everything.
Everything.
So the thing about this is that lighting is going to make your space pop. It makes it shine. It's what shows it off.
Sure.
And so it's important to have the right color, the right coverage,
sure,
and a light that makes sense.
I mean, and this applies whether it's interior or exterior. Just simple landscape lighting.
Right. And so that's why we do offer consultations if you're interested.
Yep.
We do kind of prefer new builds because that gives us a chance to start with a blank slate.
Sure.
A lot of times you don't have to put new holes in the ceiling or anything like that.
Sure. And I mean, it can be something as, I found this picture on Pinterest or what have you. This is what I'm going for. This is what I'm looking for.
Right.
We can obviously work with that, work with you, with the interior designer to build out that look and within your budget.
Right. Oh, yeah. And that is another thing. I'm glad you brought that up. As part of our deliverables, if you do sign up to pay the fee for lighting design, we're going to give you options.
Yeah.
We're going to say, okay, this is your budget. This is the light we recommend because it fits your budget. If you've got a couple extra bucks to spend, you could select this one or this one. You might get a better this or that. But because of your budget, this is where we landed.
Sure.
And it's a very objective view of the lights that we have in our portfolio.
Yeah.
Which we have a lot.
And just the access to the various distributors, the various other brands that we work around.
Right. And we can definitely find something to fit your
Sure.
space. So thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We talked a little bit about today. Take a little pride in your lighting. There's nothing wrong with that because it is going to show off the spaces that you're proud of.
Yes.
And one quick thing I do want to throw in here is it's also really great if you are at an office that has bad lighting, or in a warehouse space or an industrial space, and you replace it. It's kind of amazing that your workers see that investment, and it also makes it a lot easier to do their jobs.
It is a morale booster, 100%.
And it's safety and things like that. So we talked a lot about residential, but I believe next week we might get into, because we've done a couple of industrial jobs.
Sure.
And a couple of parking lot jobs and things like that. So we'll talk a little bit more. We'll reincorporate the city of Denham. We've talked about that before. And the one we did 2 weeks ago about Lindy Gas. Because we've gotten a lot of good feedback over the last couple of weeks, and we've got plenty to talk about in terms of, we talked residential today and why lighting is important, and we'll get into the commercial and industrial side next week. So, sir, if you'll take a quick second to introduce yourself.
I'm Tarek, again, and I apologize for my appearance. Well, I don't, but it is what it is.
It's hump day, man.
It is.
It's a casual day.
It is.
And my name is McHugh David. I'm co-founder of Southern Lighting Solutions. Please remember that Southern Lighting is on. We have a great website, southernlightinginc.com. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, as well as Instagram.
Yep.
We're on all 4 of those social media platforms, so you can check it out at either place, or you can call either one of us. Tarek's number is 225-910-2252. My number is 225-931-1012. We appreciate you taking the time to either listen or watch, and we'll see you next time.